Hello, thank you for being here. Today we are going to use liquids that we have at home every day to do an amazing experiment. You ready? We are going to be exploring two terms. Do you know which term are? Boom! Density and stability, okay? Now, before we get into the experiment, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ana Soli Concepcion Bayeme Nala. I know, trust me. It's a very long name, but what can I say? I like it. Okay? So now I'm gonna walk you to some guides that you need to follow for this experiment. This experiment is really easy to do. You don't really need to take like extra careful steps. You only need to tie your shoes, wear something very comfortable, something that is going to allow your hands move easily, okay? And then other than that, do not spit liquids on the floor, because if you do, you can trip, somebody else can do, they can get hurt. So we want to be careful not to spill liquids, have our shoes tied, and then let's get into the experiment. Okay, now I'm going to start with density. What is density? So density is defined as the amount of matter in 1 unit volume, okay? So let's say to know how dense is a liquid, you have to take 1 unit volume, that can be 1 meter cube, centimeter cubes, whatever unit volume you want to use, put it and try to put material mass in that unit volume, and then you're going to be like, if you have 1 liter and you're able to put like if you have like 1 liter container and you're able to put 1 gram of X material in the liter is in the container, get full of it, so your density is going to be 1 gram over 1 liter, okay? 1 liter. Now, the way I understand it, I always relate density with the heaviness of the material, because usually elements or liquids or whatever it is that is dense, they are very dense, they are also very heavy, okay? So you are going to see like iron is going to be more dense than water, because iron is relatively heavier than water. Or iron is going to be more dense than plastic, because iron is relatively heavy than plastic, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my liquids. For this experiment, you can use any liquid you want, but I'm gonna use, let me see, I'm gonna use oil, wine, I'm gonna use milk, I'm gonna use honey, and also I'm gonna use water. Now, you don't really have to use just these specific liquids, but one thing you need for sure is a clear glass. You need a clear glass for sure, so you can see how this liquid will relate with others. Now, we are going to go ahead and put these liquids on this glass, and then we expect the liquid that is more dense to lie on top of all other liquids, and then following for the other one that is more dense, and then following for the other one, and at the last and the bottom we are going to have the more dense liquid. In other words, the heavier liquid. Now, which of these liquids do you think have higher density? Is it the milk? Is it the wine? The oil? Or the honey? We don't know. Let's find out. I'm going to use these containers just to take some measurements. You don't really need them, but you can use it just for the convenience, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna use the big one for water. I'm gonna start with water. Honestly, you can go to with any order you want, but I'm just gonna start with water. I'm gonna use this big container for water. I'm gonna put some water in it. Good. And then next, I'm gonna add oil. Okay. And after that, I'm gonna add some milk. I'm gonna go ahead with milk. I don't know why. I just love milk. I'm gonna use this one for milk. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna put just a little bit of milk just to see what happens. Whoa. Okay. So now I'm gonna add some wine. Just a little tiny bit of wine. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna add my honey. I'm gonna add my honey on top. And then we can see that we have, we made a mess. If I put this here, you can clearly see that there is 3 or 4 layers, at least that we can see. We have a layer here. Now we can say that it's clearly honey. And then we have this mixture that is milk, water, and wine. And then also on top we have oil, right? So from this, which liquid will you say is more dense? If you say honey, you are right. The more dense liquid, the heavier liquid is going to be on the bottom. So in our experiment, we have concluded that honey is more dense than water, milk, and wine. But water, milk, and wine are more dense than oil. So oil is the less dense of the liquids. Now we are going to try something else. Let's try, I'm gonna grab another glass. Let's try to mix water and wine and see what happens. This time, I'm gonna try to put the wine first and then the water. I'm gonna put the wine and I'm gonna add the water. Beautiful. And then next, I'm gonna mix milk and wine. And this time, I'm gonna pour the milk first. Already put the milk. And I'm going to add the wine. Beautiful. And then at the end, I'm going to mix water. And this time, and oil. And this time, I'm gonna put the oil first. And let's try to line this up here so we can see all the mixtures. What I want to show you here, and let me tell you this, I know for a fact that milk is heavier than water. Milk is more dense than water. And I also know for a fact that milk is more dense than wine. So we were expecting the milk, the wine to sit on top of the milk, but now they mix. Why they mix together? Why they cannot have this amazing separation? Well, the reason for that, you have learned it already, is the type of bondings. The type of bondings that is prevalent in water, milk and wine is covalent bonding, but with polarity. That means that the atoms are not very stingy. They are able to share. The professional term to refer the stinginess of the atom is electronegativity. Okay, the atoms that are made up of water and wine, they have different electronegativities, so they are able to share the atoms. So somebody's gonna give the other person instead of atoms, the correct particulate is electrons. You know, electrons is what they share, not the atoms. So atoms share electrons. So, but with oil, that doesn't happen. They are very stingy. They don't let other people come in their group, so they tie together. So they are not going to be mixing with other people. Besides stingy, they also not friendly. I will just say not friendly. So now you know two things. You know that you know that liquids that have different electronegativity, they are going to mix with other liquids that have elements, or they are made up elements with different electronegativities. Now, liquids that have no polarity, that means that the atoms that made the liquids, they are equally stingy together, they are very tight together, they are not going to mix with other liquids. For in those two facts that I have give you, you have become an expert in mixability and also density. I hope you enjoyed my small video, and I hope to see you again. Remember to tie your shoes, don't spill the liquid, and have fun.